In this video, we're going to be exploring the 8 ways you can reconnect when physical intimacy has disappeared from a marriage. For more videos like this, be sure to subscribe to our channel. So there are ways in which we typically give and receive love within a relationship. And there are 5 love languages, and physical affection is actually only one of them. The other 4 languages are words of affirmation, quality time, gift giving, and acts of service. The tricky thing is that when love languages differ within a relationship, oftentimes when there's trouble, physical intimacy will be the first thing to go. And when it's disappeared from the relationship, it's often because one of the partners does not have physical affection as their primary love language. So when their love tank is empty, the physical intimacy immediately leaves the relationship. You therefore have to create an environment where that can become a natural flow again. Repairing love languages when physical intimacy has disappeared from a marriage can be a complex and sensitive issue. So it's important to approach it with open communication, empathy, and also a willingness to really understand and meet each other's needs. So here are some steps that you can take and some things you can think about. The first thing is to think about honest communication. So start by really having an open and honest conversation with your partner about this issue. Express your feelings, your concerns, and your desires, and encourage your partner to do the same. So to create that safe space for both of you to share without judgment, I would really recommend that you don't describe them and their character. You focus on describing your own feelings and needs. How that looks is, hey, when we are not physically close this way, or I notice we haven't actually been intimate with each other for a while, and I feel really sad, disconnected, lonely, I really need for us to kind of have that closeness with each other. So notice I'm describing my feelings and needs. I'm not saying, well, we haven't had intimacy lately and like you just frigid and you're just cold and you're this and you're that. That will be perceived by the other person as criticism and contempt, and that's going to lead to defensiveness, potentially them withdrawing from the relationship. So having that kind of open and honest dialogue, it has to be done in a kind of safe way for both of you to share without judgment. The next thing is to identify those underlying causes. So exploring the reasons behind the disappearance of the physical intimacy. You know, it could be due to various factors. There could be stress, there could be health issues, emotional disconnection, some other relationship challenges. Maybe you've just had a new baby. Understanding that root cause can really help you address it more effectively and actually pinpoint what happened before that happened and why has this taken place. Also making sure that when you're looking at this, not making it such a big deal. When we are very focused and intense on something, sometimes we can just create a real mountain out of that molehill and put so much pressure on the situation. If we are light about it, we can often have that conversation in a better way. The third is to seek professional help if needed. You know, really consider a Spark coach or the Spark program. We provide guidance, we facilitate communication, and we help you work through the challenges that you're facing. Having a third party there that's kind of in the soup with you, it also helps make sure that when people are discussing issues, they're not attacking each other. They're focusing on the 2 people standing together against the problem as opposed to being divided by the problem and kind of not talking to each other properly. The fourth thing to think about is exploring non-physical love languages. So as I said right at the start, often when physical intimacy has left the relationship and there's like a stressor or a challenge that has entered, it's often when one person doesn't have physical intimacy as their top love language. So exploring non-physical love languages and building those provides a scaffold where physical intimacy can then be natural again. You know, because while physical intimacy is an important aspect, it's not the only expression of love. So identifying and focusing on other love languages that you and your partner can engage in can be helpful. So these include acts of service, like doing something for the other person, quality time, spending undivided time with the person, complimenting them with words of affirmation, giving and receiving of really considerate gifts. And discovering those alternative ways to show affection and care will strengthen your bond. When your connection has actually been impacted, physical intimacy usually suffers. So filling up the love tank when we have that disconnection usually actually has an order. So what I find from a clinical perspective is when I see that has left the building, I kind of focus first on the order of things. So does either partner have acts of service as one of their top 2 love languages? If that's the case, that's usually the love language you've got to put in place first. Because an acts of service partner has high levels of stress. And high levels of stress basically means that they're too heightened and too upset to be kind of in that chilled space where physical intimacy is normal. Focusing on that love language first lowers the stress level of the relationship, and then other love languages can enter. The next thing is to think about, after that decrease, is spending quality time together and connecting undivided way and hanging out together. And when you're spending that quality time together, it's not in a physical way, it's in a way where you're sharing words of affirmation and you're talking about things. So, not meeting their emotions or what it is that they're saying with lots of logic. When somebody shares something really challenging with us and we meet it with logic, it's going to be a relationship killer. I'm so tired. Well, what do you have to be tired about? I'm the one that's really tired. Now you're competing with each other. So even though you might logically have more reasons to be tired, meeting what they've just said with that logic is going to kill the relationship off. So in logic, when somebody is feeling emotional, leads to a disconnect, okay? Minimizes their issue. It makes them feel closed. Whereas empathy will open the door and kind of like, I'm really sorry that you're tired. I don't need to compete with you on who's the most tired. I'm just really sorry that you're tired, okay? So acts of service goes first. That person governs the stress in the relationship. Lowering that stress level helps. Maybe some gift giving, making sure that like they feel appreciated and respected with gifts, if gifts is one of their top ones. Quality time, spending some time together, chatting. And when they're chatting and they say things, we really validate their emotions. When we've built those layers up again, then you can touch in a non-sexual way. The fifth thing is you can rediscover emotional connection by working on rebuilding that emotional intimacy. Emotional intimacy is the foundation for physical intimacy. So spending some fun time together, engaging in nice conversations and spending some nice times together, showing genuine interest in each other's lives will prioritize that emotional connection and nurturing and the friendship. Go karting. Go on a crazy date together where you drink too many cocktails. You have some fun and it then flows a little bit better. All that heaviness leaves the building and we can kind of chat a little bit more freely. The next thing to think about is prioritizing self-care. Taking care of yourself physically, mentally, and emotionally will make you feel good about yourself, and that can also positively impact your relationship. And activities that bring you joy, reduce your stress, and improve your overall well-being is going to be helpful. The next thing to think about is experimenting and being open-minded. So exploring new ways to cultivate emotional and physical intimacy. Trying new things, discussing fantasies or desires, finding common ground that both partners are comfortable with. And remembering that each person's comfort level is important and consent is crucial. So a nice idea that I saw a couple of that I'm working with on the Spark program do the other day was they went on a date and they dressed up and she sat at the bar and he walked in and they pretended like they didn't know each other. It was really great because it was like a first date, like, how are you doing? And he got to practice all his moves and she got to pretend that she was somebody else. And it was really quite exciting for them to act out like this and be different people for a night. And it rekindled something. They were able to laugh a little bit and have some fun. And I think having that kind of fun and lightness in the situation, it lightened everything up and they actually reconnected really well. And the last thing to think about is patience and understanding. Restoring physical intimacy really takes time and effort, and being patient with yourselves, each other, and respecting people's boundaries is vital. Also, if you have small steps towards victory, to celebrate those successes. Every relationship is unique, and what works for one person may not work for another. And tailoring things to your own specific circumstances is really key. So in your particular situation, If you're struggling, you might want to think about getting some support in there, and that is what the Spark program is really designed to do. So if you want to find out more information about that, be sure to contact us on our website and book a clarity call. Thanks.